Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, the concept of God. The concept of God had been discussed by the Buddhists, Lao Tzu, Confucius, Hinduism, Buddhism, and many others. Some are freelance writer, the concept of God. But in all these books, if you read, God is envisaged as a total extraordinary being, a total entity, total. And this had been going on for centuries. And only when we come in, alhamdulillah, we come in, we say, when you talk about God, it's not the whole being. The God that you all, whether in the previous era or now, is the subtle self, his subtle self. And we're the first one to stand up and told the world, the God that you have, the concept of the God, is the subtle self, not even the greater self. See? When you say the greater self, there must be the subtle self. For 1% and 99%. If you say greater self, it doesn't mean the whole self. No. The whole self is Allah. When you say the greater self is 99%, plus the subtle self 1%. And that is the Allah combination. But what we in this world, whether time in memoriam or now, the God that we know is the subtle self. I think Pak Deka had touched this. Everything that you see is the subtle self in his last lecture. Very interesting. So, you are not even learning the greater self. And you want to learn about Allah. There's nothing to learn about him. We don't know how great is he. The subtle self, we know he gave some hint. And that is, we learn about the subtle self as what he wants us to know. There are many things about the subtle self he doesn't disclose. Only those that he wants us to know, we know about the subtle self. Greater self, we don't know yet. And the combination of both, then you talk about Allah. Okay? So we are the first to stand up in this concept of God to tell people, hey, whatever you wrote, whatever you talk, whatever envision that you gave about God is not the total self. It's only the subtle self. So bear this in mind. Okay, how to know him? You know, it's like you go to a primitive aborigines and you check his hair and then come out kutu, kutu. That you learn. But even that too much. The subtle self is very minute. If you take the science explanation, the first thing, the Higgs boson exploded, that the God particle, and then become atoms, and within the atom, there's a neutron, proton, and so on, smaller, and then you have smaller than that. I can't remember the name, Planck. That how minute it is, you have to use microscope that is sophisticated to see the molecules, the subtle self, and encompasses all in the minute form. And if you study the DNA, you see the molecule goes on from the bigger perspective to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and so on. No ends. So the concept of God that I want to put to you today, that we, alhamdulillah, putting forward, is the subtle self. It's not the greater self, it's not the whole self. The subtle self. The one that everything perish, that remain my containment. Wajah, my containment. That is the subtle self. This is like a ball, small, without opening. This is the Surah An-Nur. I am the light of heaven and earth. The example of my light is light. What is the word they use there? Like a crystal ball without opening, small. And that contain the visible, which is according to science about 4% within that. But behind the visible, there is the essence and so on. So what we learn about God truly is not God, His subtle self. And that will do. Okay? That will do. Okay. And of course, even His subtle self, that is absolute. Absolute. That means the subtle self doesn't share its existence with anything. Absolute. No sharing. That's why you can't, that's why it is infinite. That's why it doesn't have beginning, it doesn't have end. That's why it's absolute. That's why at the beginning, He's alone. No sharing. And what we are talking about is that the one that come out from this is the containment, the wajah. And that is a subtle self. Subtle self. In Malay, halus. In Arab, Latiff, halus, subtle. Halus also is not perfect. Subtle is more like elusive. Small but elusive. Subtle. That is much more better. Halus can be very, very tiny. But subtle, it is not only tiny, but it's elusive. And that's what we learn, the concept of God. You read any books on this, market a lot concept of God you read. They are talking God as a whole self. That is not correct. We are the first one that brought it up. You are learning the subtle self because everything perish that remain my container. Wajah. And that is this subtle self. Okay? Everywhere you turn, there is my subtle self. There are many things, the knowledge that we learn together, with many textbooks do not have. We, Alhamdulillah, with Allah guidance, brought up all this. Like, for example, spirit and soul. Spirit is where the mind combined with the soul. That's spirit, jiwa. Whereas soul is by itself when it is not combined with the mind. That's why we have OBE, right? When the soul and the mind combine, then astral travel possible. Okay? So, concept of God, the way you see this word, Allah is eternal, absolute. This refers to the subtle self. Subtle self. The subtle self, part of it, tiny part of him, is only eternal, absolute. It's like you see an elephant and you talk about the tail of the elephant. And you learn about the tail of the elephant. Okay? And not the whole elephant, just the tail of the elephant. Same here. But because it's part of Allah, part of God, although it's subtle, it is eternal and absolute. Eternal and absolute. Like the tail of the elephant. The tail moves because the elephant moves it. Okay? Same here. It is the container, the wajah. Everything perish that remain is my container. Everywhere you turn is my container, encompassing all. And this subtle self is not only eternal because it's part of Allah, absolute in everything also, because of part of Him. Absolute. There's no sharing with anyone because at the beginning, it is the subtle self. Right? Well, if we start our history, creation, the history of creation is started with the subtle self, not with Allah. Otherwise, Allah then become the creation. No. The subtle self appeared first. Then the essence. Then come the creation. So you talk about creation, its starting point is the essence. Because at the beginning, nothing exists. And then there is Allah, refers to the subtle self. Suddenly tajalli, made appeared, is the subtle self. Okay, subtle self. So when you talk Allah, eternal and absolute, from our standpoint of learning, we started from the subtle self. So when you say Allah here, talking about his subtle self. But learning the tail of the elephant is also learning about the elephant, because part of the elephant. And when you say nothing, no, at the beginning there's Allah, you talk about the subtle self, not Allah. Because out the invisibility, poof, come out the subtle self. And then from there, it takes color, bright color, and it becomes essence. And from there, manifested the creation as a whole. Okay? So when we talk about Allah from the standpoint of creation, that is the subtle self. Subtle self, way very far away from the concept of Allah by itself. Very far. The subtle self. That's why I confess to our God alone that has not had beginning nor shall ever have end. Here again, when you talk about God has not have a beginning and end, when you refer to the creation, it is the subtle self. Before that, nothing, just him, no comparison, nothing. No, you know nothing before that tajali, before the appearance of the subtle self, you know nothing. So when you say, I confess to our God alone that has not a beginning, you're talking about the subtle self. Because God have no, before the subtle self, there's no beginning, no end. See? So from the subtle self emerged the essence, emerged other probable existence, mungkin wujud. And then it come back to the essence and then to the subtle self again. See? So the subtle self has no beginning, no end. The beginning and end are the manifestation. Manifestation. I confess to our God alone. This again talking about the subtle self. Not the greater self, not Allah. Okay? God is infinite. Esa. Infinite. Mean infinite, no sharing. Alone. But here again, the subtle self. The subtle self. Okay. So like Pak Deka explained the last week, or this week or last week, this week, Friday, or Saturday, that everything is a subtle self. Having amusement and play. Everything. So once you know the truth of it, you will not be ignorant. Kamu tidak akan jadi jahil. You know. And that is why Islam means surrender. Total submission. Once you know this. We see that later. So it's infinite Esa. And this is also referred to the subtle self. Infinite. It is not restricted. It's on and on and on and on. We don't know how far, how vast, we don't know. And that pertaining to the subtle self, not the whole self. No sharing with anyone. Absolute clean, like a white cloth, clean. Or ocean without ice, just ocean. We are like the ice. Right. Huh? Come and goes. You are truly the all-knowing, all-wise. If He's absolute, alone, and if He's the infinite, therefore truly He's all-knowing because He's alone. All-wise alone. Okay. There cannot be anything else sharing His knowledge or His wiseness. Cannot be. But again, here pertaining to the subtle self. And even the subtle self, the knowledge of the subtle self, even you got 7 oceans of ink, you plus again 7 oceans of ink, and plus, you cannot finish the knowledge. And that is only pertaining to the subtle self. And of course, He's all wise, all knowing, because no sharing. The wiseness all belong to Him, the subtle self. The all knowing all belong to Him, no sharing. Infinite, Esa, absolute, mutlak, absolute. See, verily God all knowing, wise. For God is indeed infinite wise. He's alone truly wise, all aware. You're talking about the subtle self. No sharing, absolute, mutlak. Okay. Infinite is okay. All the power also, absolute, infinite. No sharing. Okay. It is He who has all knowledge and power. Yes, because He is infinite, absolute, Esa. So no sharing, mutlak. No sharing. No other existence, Him alone. The subtle self. Say He's Allah, the one and only. And praise is due to God alone, the sustainer of all the world. That means He alone maintain everything that is visible or invisible. And here also you talk about the subtle self. Because what is visible, not visible, is within the subtle self. If you use the Ma'rifat observation, everything will come back to the subtle self. Okay. God is the creator of all things. And here again the subtle self, because from the subtle self come the wajibul wujud, and then come the mungkinul wujud. Okay. So God is the creator of all things. And because the wajibul wujud is the essence, and the mungkinul wujud, other creations, come from Him alone, therefore the power is with Him to determine what is the faith of the wajibul and the mungkinul wujud. Okay. Absolute power. Absolute. The management of all things is certainly without. Of course, if you look our diagram, you can remember, there is the subtle self, and from there come the essence, and then from the essence come the other creations. Okay? Okay. Behind it is the subtle self engraphing, encompassing the essence as well as the other creations. And once it's engulfed, then everything that it engulfs, it will manage. Okay. So there is no two ways about it. The management of things is certainly with Allah. Here also the subtle self. Okay. But truly the command is with Allah in all things. Here again, the subtle, all things are from the subtle self, not from the greater self. So all things, the command, the command, absolute, infinite, the command with the subtle self in all things. And of his sign is that the sky and earth stand firm by his command. To Allah the forces of the heaven and the earth. Everything is within the subtle self. To him belong the keys of the heaven and earth. To Allah belong the treasures of the heaven and earth. All this telling you that the subtle self is in control, absolute control, not only eternal but infinite control, the subtle self. That is why when everything perish, that remain the subtle self, wajah. And this subtle self will go back to the greater self. And that's it. When it combine, there is Allah. When it's separate, it becomes the subtle and the greater self. To him belong the kingdom of the heaven and the earth, and to Allah, that the subtle self, all matters are returned. So you all keep on asking me, Ustadz, what is the subtle self and what is the greater self and Allah? So we are slowly going into that. We are talking about the subtle self. Where is the Quran? It refers to the subtle self. Now we are looking at that. Where in the Quran it refers to the greater self? We come to that. Where in the Quran it refers to Allah? These are the commandment in the Quran refers to the subtle self. One by one, I pick it out, inshallah. To Allah belong the east and the west. This talking about the subtle self again. Okay. Allah, we don't know. Greater self, we don't know. Subtle self, yes, you have east and west because that is the mungkinul wujud. Okay. You have, we are in the east, Europe are in the west, you know, but still in the subtle self. Okay. But it is to Allah that the end and the beginning of all things belong. So, the probable existence perish, left the permanent, I mean the probable and then the obligatory existence, essence, destroy, and all will go back to the subtle self. So it is to Allah that the end and the beginning. So from the subtle self come the obligatory existence and the probable existence. And then the probable existence back to the obligatory existence and back to the subtle self. Okay? So when you say, but it's to Allah, this refers to the subtle self. He is the manifest and the hidden. You look at the ice castle they have in Tokyo, They build up during the winter month, the ice castle, very nice, so many objects, all kind of facade, all from ice. So you see a hotel of ice, the castle of ice. That is the manifest. Okay? The hidden is water. And below that is the ocean. Okay? So the ocean manifested to be ice, and the ice become the castle. So the manifest and the hidden come from the ocean. Here, it is not Allah manifest. Otherwise become wada wujud. Be careful. It's not Allah manifest. And not Allah the hidden. Otherwise you are into the wada wujud. Here it refers to the subtle self. Then come the essence, and then come the probable creation. So the essence, the wajibul wujud, and then come the mungkinul wujud. So he's the manifest and the hidden. Here refers to the subtle self. Okay. And he it is that encompasses all things. This is the subtle self. If we look to the explanation of Big Bang, a tiny particle, God particles, exploded. And from the explosion come the Higgs garden. From the garden come all other creation. So that God particle, they call it Higgs boson. So from the Higgs boson exploded back, they come the Higgs field. And in the Higgs field, a lot of atoms which started to combine and so on and become creations. Okay. So the one that encompasses all refers to the subtle self, not Allah. Of course, it's part of Allah. That's what we can say it's Allah. But it's the subtle self, not even the greater self. So long as we deny the absolute oneness of God, we are in error. You see here, you deny the tail of the elephant is part of the elephant, then you are in error. See? Although you learn about the tail, but you deny it's part of the elephant, you are in error. So the subtle self is part of Allah. You see, the problem of the explanation of concept of God in all other fields, be it religious, be it psychology, be it what you call this, I forgot. No? But whatever is the definition of God, if you don't have the proper understanding, you may fall into wajibul wujud, wadatul wujud. Now, and also you may fall under even shirk even. Because once you don't see that this refer to the subtle self is part, the tail of an elephant, you don't see this part of it, then you see other existence. I and Allah. There's always the I. So there is another existence. You see? You don't see it's part of the subtle self that fall under the probable existence. The essence is obligatory existence. So you don't see it as part, of the subtle self. You see it as the ice on the ocean is a separate entity from the ocean. And there where a lot of problems come out. And this is where the problem of Sharia. Go to the mosque Friday, listen what they lecture. They say, let us do a lot of prayer, do a lot of sadaqah to get Allah blessing. Look, man, you say, when we do a lot of sadaqah, a lot of worship, where is Allah? He got no control. Where the absoluteness of Allah control? Don't commit crime. Don't do this. Don't do that. We must fight. Who are you, man? Where is Allah? Whereas you say in the sixth principle of faith, the good and the bad come from Allah. And here you are saying we are doing the bad thing. We must refrain from doing the bad thing. Where is Allah? Where? So when you don't see this absolute, when you deny it, the oneness of our God, you are in error. You understand? So it's better to keep quiet. The guy, is adulterer, berzina, keep quiet. None of your business. If it's not written, he won't do it. If it's not approved, he won't do it. You think Allah didn't know what he's doing? Right? And then you come back to absolute existence. Hey, you don't see them existing. You see, that's why it's very good to keep quiet and observe. Don't comment. That's why I say, living in this world is amusement and game, you see. What they call the lecture last Friday or Saturday, very interesting. Even you see adulterers, look closely, you think the adulterers existed? It's all the game, amusement and play. And that's why you continue that commandment. You see, the village in the hereafter waiting for them. But once you separate between the subtle self and the creation, then you have problem. Because you have to put them in hell. Right? Because you saw two existence. This one commit sin, must go to hell. So there's a lot of high jump in the Western world. How come we follow predestination, go to hell? It's predestined that one must do the crime. Why go to hell? You have a problem there. Right? Because you see two existence. Why am born deformed, handicapped, okay, you, whatever. And then I'm put in hell. You're not happy. Why I'm created a woman and then put to hell, in hell? Because once you deny the absolute oneness of God, you are in error. You have problem. That is why for us, we see and keep quiet. And see and remember, life in this world is amusement and game for him. To keep quiet. He even told Rasulullah SAW, if I want the whole world to be believers, I can do so. Don't you be ignorant, jahil. Very clear. And he wants it that way. You see, every scriptures, be it Torah, be it the Psalm, be it the Quran, be it the Gospel, everybody, every of this script will tell you adultery is sinful, fornication is still sinful. And yet, until from time immemorial until now, the business of prostitution still survives. It is so desperate. Why don't Allah clean it up? You see, but once you see this, you deny the absolute oneness of God, then you have all these questions coming out. Why? Why? And what Jesus say? Why is the gate of hell? Okay. So remember this. Always remember this oneness of God. Everything that you see is part of the subtle self. There's no two ways about it. Okay. And therefore, Imam Ghazali say correct. One who knows himself and knows his God will surely know that he does not exist. This in Ihya Ulumuddin. You know, this the old Ihya Ulumuddin, 12 volumes belong to my wife, you know. Somehow I'm directed to go to this volume and found this, you know, which is of course a very solid statement that helped our understanding in our Sufism. Say all things are from Allah, you know, all from the subtle self, the absolute oneness of God. Why I say absolute oneness? Because the subtle self is also part of Allah, absolute oneness of God. All things are from Allah. That we see all these are from the subtle self. But what had come to these people that they failed to understand a single fact. So when you don't see the oneness, then you are in error. We're back to that again here. This Abu Ahad Daud, he was formerly a Christian bishop who found the Gospel Barnabas, read it, and then he wrote Muhammad in the Bible, and he converted. This is the one. Abu Ahad Daud, formerly known as Reverend something, I forgot the name. So long as we deny the absolute oneness of Allah, we are in error. That's caused the problem. Here. You can't see. So like one of Jama'ah Luli always say, she said, everywhere I go, any part of the world, I know I'm Indonesian. So put this in your mind. Everywhere you go, in your mind, you does not exist. You are seeing the subtle self at play. Right? So one who knows himself, knows his God, you don't exist. Okay. And therefore, you are not supposed to make any conclusion. Just see and keep your mouth shut. Don't comment. But when you comment, you are commenting on predestination. You are not supposed to do that. You don't see the oneness of it, and you're commenting on predestination. Everything done, already predestined. So keep your comment, because one single word wrong will put you in hell, the distance east to west. So for he thought and he decided, and woe to him. Woe to him. How he decided. Yes, woe to him how he decided. When you don't exist, when you see everyone, everything is part of the oneness, how can you decide? You don't exist. Justice 100% to Allah. He doesn't share. Wiseness 100% to Allah. Only in this case, we refer to the subtle self, right? Everything to him. So how can you decide? That is why we learn every 10 act of worship, 9 is to keep quiet. But I find it enjoyable to sit and watch and don't comment. See the subtle self having amusement and play and keep quiet. That's why sometimes we learn about pecker. Pecker means to be alert what next is coming. You know? So a lot of hoo-ha about Israel and Palestine. Keep quiet. You think it will go on and on and on? Eternal? No way. When the First World War, Second World War ended, that is more atrocious than the Israeli and the Palestine. And some got the audacity, rudeness, telling Allah, let go of your dogs after the Israeli dogs. You listen to the classic radio of Malaysia. After the azan, they were doa there. And Allah, lepaskanlah anjing-anjingmu. First, I don't know how Allah keep anjing, dogs. Secondly, who are you to give command to Allah? You think he doesn't know what he's doing? He say, do you think that what I did got no purpose? Tak ada hikmah. Do you think all I did, anything that I did is sia-sia, not useful? Look, he knows what he's doing. So for us, sit on the bench, zip, quiet, okay? Watch the game, okay? How long more to go? Just watch. Even the apartheid of the South African, how many years in the end gone? And the one day in prison become the president. So this is where, how you thought and you decided. Someone give command to Allah, Allah, kill them, Allah. Don't have mercy on them. Who are you to give a talk? You go to the Sultan and tell him, Sultan, do this, do that. And his men will come in, hantam you until fainted. How can you give instruction to the Sultan? And you give instruction to Allah, much, much greater than just a mere Sultan. You don't do that. Like, you see, I heard this guy from Switzerland. He became a Singaporean citizen. I think it was 2008. And he has no regret. He said, I had no regret. I gave up my Switzerland citizenship. I become Singaporean. And one of his reasons, you see, the government of Singapore, they know what they are doing, Therefore, I feel all right with them, I feel safe. So this is the thing that, what Allah did, all right, you don't need to tell him what to do. Accept what he's doing has purpose and not vain. See? So, keep quiet. But every time, and even in the mosque, after Friday prayer, they have the Keynote, I forgot the word, Nazila, where you pray, oh Allah, about the Palestine. You are telling Allah he doesn't know. Relax, brother, relax. Listen to the song. Relax, brother, relax. He knows what he's doing. Even the First World War ended, Second World War ended. That is more atrocious. This is nothing. Just we the Sufis keep our mouth shut. Watch in the words. Watch the bioscope. Bioscope. Watch the movie. Relax. Right? If you see a movie, surely there's a director. And the directors know what the movie all about. And there will be an end. So relax. We are the Sufis. We can join the cave dweller, go Kafi cave. You can go into the cave and don't come out. That means keep away from the society. Or you can follow Hidayah. You know, I have in mind only Allah and walk and nobody recognize you. You have the ma'rifah, you know, you are no longer ignorant, as Rasulullah said, as the verse said, you are no longer ignorant, you are being taught. So, follow Hidayah. Nobody, we take for example, Pak Deka. If he goes to, let's say, Malaysia, if people don't recognize him, he walk around without his cap or what. Maybe he used the British cap. People won't know he has this knowledge. He can teach people, guide people. So he can be a hidir, you know. And what I'm afraid is that if I'm not around anymore, many of you will become hidir. But I ask you honestly, don't run away from Yamas Indonesia. Give full support even I'm not around. Because this is the Bani Tamim in the future. Okay? Or even take Pak Mansur, an engineer. Nobody knows he has this knowledge, can guide people. Many more here, okay, who can guide. But this is the thing, you see, Uri, playful, you know, joker, whatnot. Why he knows his stuff, okay? Although he behaved that way, but internally it's okay. Baharudin also, okay? These are all alias, you know, okay. I can vouchsafe them, they are okay. Many more, all of you. You have been following me more than 10 years ada? 10 years ada? Huh? 10 years. I mean, you go university, you learn a subject for 10 years, surely you expert already. Right? So, how you decide, how you think about it. So, again, my friend, my companion, about this Israel thing, relax lah. Sit on the bench and watch, no comment. See the amusement and play of the subtle self. But to Allah belong all things in the heaven and earth. Everything belongs to Him. He doesn't share His possession with anyone. So relax. All belong to Him. He handles His own things. I always give you an example. You pass in front of my house, and now we are doing painting. We are painting our wall, our house, blue color. Now still in progress. And then you pass in front, you say, hey, Ustadz, I don't like your house painted blue. You should paint it red. I will ask you, who are you? I'm passerby. I say, hey, please move on. Don't bother me. It's my house. Everything belongs to Allah. You got no right to tell him what to do. He knows what he's doing. And all this, he knows what he's doing, already translated to predestination. There will time come, this thing will happen, this thing will happen, you know. It's already translated into predestination takdir. Just realize, look at us. 10 years ago, I'm Pak Dekra, very much stronger and handsome, you know. Now getting old, you know. And look, Pak Mansur, before the hair, very nice. Curly. Now a lot of forest vastness there. Because time. You see Osman Oak before, where they have nice hair, now disappear. Because time, predestination. We cannot escape. So everything belongs to Allah. He can do what he wants to his own belonging. So again, quietness, silent, keep quiet, you know. To God belong the unseen of the heaven and earth. Even the unseen belong to him. We can do what he likes to it. Again here, unto Allah. And to Allah belong the east and the west. Okay, so what happening throughout the world, it happened on Allah's belonging. Even the Israeli, even the Palestine belong to him. He knows what he's doing. Say, to whom belong the earth and all being therein? I say, there's a question. Allah say, you keep on interfering. This is mine. I do what I like to mine. Allah say, see, think, to whom belong this earth and all beings therein? To whom? If you know, they will say, belong to Allah, right? Then why are you not remembering this and keep on interfering, right? If like you have a bicycle, you are riding your bicycle and people keep on stopping you, checking whether really your bicycle or not. Now, how can they do that? This is your bicycle. This is Allah's belonging. You cannot question. He knows what he's doing. Okay? So, they talk about Israeli causing a lot of death in Palestine. Ask yourself, the Palestine and the Israeli belong to whom? If you know. Belong to Allah. And therefore Allah say, why don't you remember belong to me? It belong to me, I can do what I like. To what belong to me according to my plan. Predestination as listed in the Law Mahfuz. Okay. And therefore, Jesus say, correct. All things created belong to the Creator that nobody can share. Your soul, your sense, your flesh, your time, good, honest, all are God possession. And I make you to remember this. You see, soul, sense, flesh, time, good, and honor, all are God possession. You see, this thing that Allah in the Quran command, when you died, everything that I give you will come back to me. Inna lillahi. When people die, we say, Inna lillahi wa inna rajiun. Everything that I give you will come back to me. What will come back to me? Your honor. You died, there's no more honor. Your goodness, no more. Right? Your time, no more. Your flesh will decay. Your sense will not follow you anymore because the memory will fall behind. And your soul will go without memory, you know. So that if a man receive them, now you use this thing, you use it not according to Allah, one thing, then you robber. Right? If he spend them contrary to which to God will, he is a robber. I therefore say to you that God live in whose presence my soul stands. When you take time saying, tomorrow I will do this, do that, I'll go here, I'll go that, and not saying, if God will. Inshallah, you are robbers. Hey, tomorrow we go Prata Corner, very nice, no? Without inshallah, you just say you robbers. Hey, tomorrow we go and pray that mosque. Without inshallah, robbers. Yeah, Jesus is very strict. Yeah. Darling, tomorrow we go hotel and makan, have a nice place there. Without inshallah, robbers. Even an example given, this farmer say, tomorrow we will, harvest our farms, without saying inshallah. That night Allah send the crickets, gone the harvest. So always remember my companion to say inshallah. Okay? So if you say, Ustadz, you should be well, then you say inshallah. Yeah? You cannot say like that, then you just say robbers. You say, Ustadz, you the handsome one, say inshallah. I don't want to be changed to ugly, because you didn't say inshallah. Okay. So that's what Jesus said. Now we see another one here. God is good, without which there's nothing is good. Because it's absolute. His absolute goodness. God in existence. Without him, there's no other existence. True, absoluteness. Okay. God is life, without which there is no life. Correct. Okay. And here also, again, I tell you, the God here refers to the subtle self. The subtle self, okay. He fills all and is everywhere, encompassing all. That is the subtle self. He alone and no equal. Only the subtle self, absolute existence. Yeah. He had no beginning, nor will he ever have an end, but to everything had he given beginning, and to everything shall he give an end. He had no father, no mother, absolute. Wallah wahad. Well, let's see. Say Allah is alone, ahad. No father, no mother, no son, no brother, no companion. And because God had no body like us, and he eat not, sleep not, die not, walk not, move not, but abide eternally, exists eternally without human features. And that when you see this carefully, you see this. Because he got no body like us, like our body. Therefore he eat not, sleep not, die not, walk not, move not. See? Again, no body, he eat not, sleep not, die not, walk not, move not. See? And because they say Jesus is God, but then Jesus moved, Jesus eat, and so on. So quickly they change it to man God. Jesus is man God. Man God. We try one more here. Jesus answered, I say not that I alone in Israel know the truth, for this word alone, only for God. God is alone. God is alone. And not to other people. For he is the truth. God is the truth, who alone knows the truth. Wherefore I should say, so I should be a greater robber. You think you're better than God. You can change the takdir, you know. So, your dua can change takdir. You can change takdir. Rasulullah say your place in hell. You can't. Unless it is stated in the takdir, there is a change. Otherwise, cannot. For if you say so, then you are stealing the honor of God. And in saying that I alone knew God, I should be falling into greater ignorance. You therefore committed a grievous sin in saying that I alone know the truth. And I tell you that if you said this to tempt me, your sin is greater still. That's why we don't know. Allah yourself, we don't know. We only know the subtle self, even not the greater self. Even the subtle self, he wants you to know what he wants you to know, nothing more. Okay? But there are a lot more to learn. But he just gave you enough for you to know. Okay? But nothing more. Okay? In reality, this Sheikh Abdul Qadir say, in reality, there's no doer, nobody doing anything, nobody moving anything or not moving, except Allah. There is a subtle self. There is no good or bad, no profit or loss, no dividend, no reward, obstruction, no opening, no closing, no life, no death, honors and disgrace, rich or poor. In fact, all are in the subtle self. Because that is absolute existence. And within that, there's no good, no bad, no profit. Absolute existence. To him, it meant nothing. To the subtle self, good, bad, meant nothing. He alone exists. Right? If you alone exist, then you are on an island. Right? If you say, are you handsome? It doesn't bother. You alone on the island. Huh? Nobody bothers. So same here. Okay. So I will stop here. Or should I go on? Left a few more. I think we go on. Sorry. And therefore, he is none like unto him. Even the subtle self, we don't know exactly what it is. Nothing like the subtle self. No vision can engulf the subtle self. God is invisible and hidden from the mind of man. The subtle self is hidden and hidden from the mind of man. So once you understood this as absolute existence, infinite, mutlak, esa, everything belong to him because the only existence, absolute existence. Everything belong to. So which is his favor you deny? No way. Even heaven and earth, the unseen belong to him, part of him. Which of our favor you dispute? And all from God. Right? Boleh tolong kah?
Ya, sebentar Ustaz.
Tolong sikit. Okay. And all is from God. Semua tu Allah punya. Absolute. Esa. Then, what then is amiss with these people? These people cannot understand the truth of what being told. All belong to Allah. He doesn't share anything. So what happened to what he's doing on his own thing? Keep quiet. You also part of his own thing. Keep quiet and watch the game. And therefore, the prophet was commanded, be first to surrender. When you see this, surrender, keep quiet. Watch, surrender. Oh Muhammad, be you the first to surrender. So if they dispute with thee, kita ada akal, kita berfikir, we got mind, we can think. And what Rasulullah say, answer, I have submitted my whole self to Allah, and so have those who follow me. All belong to him, he's doing to his own things. You keep quiet, okay? Otherwise, you are in error. Islam is absolute submission to will of Allah. The religion before Allah is Islam, submission to His will. Okay, I hope I have passed the message there, the concept of Allah. We'll meet again next week, inshallah, at in Malaysia. I'll be in Malaysia. My wife is attending a conference. I'll be accompanying her. Those of you want to see me and chit chat, welcome. The hotel Tenera or something like that, I can't remember. Tenera, Bangi. Okay, inshallah. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.